All right, tornado warning just coming out now. We've been covering these storms on WDAF Plus for the last couple of hours. This would include the far northern reaches of Franklin County. Ottawa, you're not included in this. And the far southern portion of Douglas County. This is a brand new tornado warning that has just been issued. This is a radar indicated circulation. If you've been watching us on WDAF Plus, we've been tracking this as it's been getting closer to Kansas City. It's a radar indicated rotation that's roughly 4 miles or so west of Globe, moving east at around 45 miles an hour, moving eastward at around 45 miles an hour or so. So we'll go ahead and kind of take you down to what's going on with this storm. We've got a whole line of storms coming into the metro as we speak, and this is what we've been expecting. Here's that tornado warning. The area of concern is approaching perhaps the Baldwin City area. So if you folks live in Baldwin City in particular, I want you to go ahead and take cover from this storm. It's a radar indicated rotation near Globe, or just towards the east of Globe, just towards the east of Overbrook. And I want to put our velocity product on this just to see if we could find it. We were noticing it in some of our radar analysis a little while ago. Tough to kind of make out, but there's a little something going on, probably right about there. That's going to be east of Overbrook, right along 56 Highway. That seems to be a corridor that we're going to be paying attention to. So a radar indicated circulation now, and as a result, the tornado warning has been issued for Douglas, far southern Douglas County, and northern Franklin County, and then again, that's going to go up until about 9 o'clock or so. So far, the history of this storm is no tornadoes in Osage County, where it was looking a little beefier than it does right now. But because of these little circulations that are trying to develop along the leading edge, that's why they've gone ahead and issued this tornado warning to be on the safe side for southern Douglas County, northern portions of Franklin County. There are actually probably 2 circulations that we need to kind of pay attention to. One circulation could be right there, and the other circulation could be right there. And this is what we observed in our data about 15 minutes ago, how we were starting to see some changes in the way this storm was coming out of Osage County. So again, for the southern Douglas County area, quick little storm track for you. This will affect areas towards Baldwin City. Perhaps we'll see whether or not it moves a little further north. Over towards Vinland, I want you to be in your safe spot. You are in that tornado warning, and there might be a slight little north jog to this. So Vinland, I want you to be in your safe spot. This will be due to you probably closer to about 8:30-ish, generally Vinland down towards Baldwin City. For those towards Centropolis, keep an eye on that circulation. There's a little something going on right there. So for the Centropolis area, here's a little tracker for you. If any of that actually makes it down towards the ground, Centropolis due into you by about 8:20. Baldwin City, another area to watch. Both those circulations due into you by about 8:37. Let's get over to Jacob.
Yeah, Joe, so I'm watching the velocity mode here, the rotation, kind of as you were talking about, and it looks like the strongest rotation right now is essentially on the Douglas-Franklin County line. So we can see kind of the faded greens here next to the brighter reds. It's broad rotation for sure, but it is not far from Centropolis, and this is why the tornado warning was issued for southern Douglas County, northern Franklin County. I do want to point out that Lawrence, University of Kansas, not in this tornado warning. This does include Baldwin City. Centropolis, Norwood, and Wellsville are in this tornado warning, but Ottawa and Pomona are not. So this is kind of near the county line area where we're seeing this rotation. So I'm going to zoom in here, get some roads on if there's a tornado, it would be trying to spin up right here as it's entering some of our Kansas counties. And this is, again, at Thomas Road and East 550th Road. 550th Road, and that is just south of 56 Highway. So between Overbrook, between Baldwin City, Centropolis is kind of the closest little population center out here in Kansas, in the northern portion of Franklin County, where this weak rotation is that may be trying to produce a brief tornado. This storm has had a history. I'll show you the rotation tracker. It had a tornado on the ground when it was back near Admire, Kansas, okay, back way to the west. It had a increasing rotation signature near Osage City, Fairfax, Kansas. It's a weak one, but this little blip on radar on the Franklin-Douglas County line is what has prompted this tornado warning for here in Douglas and Franklin counties. I also want to briefly touch on the severe thunderstorm warning for those of you in the west side of the KC Metro. This line of 60-mile-per-hour winds just now moving through Lawrence and Tonganoxie. This is mostly for winds, some lightning as well on this, and this includes Eudora, DeSoto, Bonner Springs, Western, Wyandotte County, Lansing, and Leavenworth. This severe warning until 8:45 for a line of 60-mile-per-hour winds. This is what we've been kind of telling you is the main threat for the metro today, is this line of winds and line of storms that could produce some 60-mile-per-hour gusts. So that's coming in from the west. Still this kind of tornado-warned storm, although even in the last couple of scans, Joe, it looks like that it might be weakening to some degree. I think there's still a little bit of something there, but it's not like screaming at me right now, I think. They're near Centropolis. So again, this tornado warning goes until 9 o'clock for Douglas, Franklin counties. And if there's rotation, it is maybe 2 miles north of Centropolis, right along 56 highway. So Baldwin City, go ahead and seek your tornado precaution. That's an interior room, lowest level of your home, away from windows and doors, as many walls between you and outside, because this could produce a brief tornado out here in southern Douglas County. It has some broad rotation. It's not super impressive. Joe, are we getting an update on chat from this storm at all?
Nothing overly concerning coming out of this.
Okay,
so in Douglas County, they've activated the sirens for Lone Star, Pleasant Grove, Vinland, Baldwin City, all included in the warning. Again, as Jacob nicely pointed out, this is going to be south of Lawrence. So Lawrence is not included in this particular tornado warning. This is about now, give or take, 10-ish miles. Here's Baldwin City right there. So there's 59 right there. So this is about 10-ish miles west of Baldwin City. And a couple of little circulations that we're watching. It may very well not turn out to be anything. But there is some low-level rotation going on here. That's why they've proactively issued this tornado warning. And sometimes these little areas can produce, whether or not it produces a tornado, there can be some stronger winds coming out of these little inflow areas and air being pushed out. So you could sometimes see 60, 70 plus mile-an-hour winds. One of the things that we've observed over the last several hours is that we really haven't seen much in the way of any damaging winds close to Kansas City. Now, there was a tornado that did damage down towards Council Grove, one of the lakes down there. They had some damage with this. But again, the storms don't seem to be quite as nasty now as they were previously up across northwestern Missouri. They were going pretty good. They seem to have weakened just a little bit. So here's our velocity product, and there's no, at least from what I could see, there's no right now real focus. And when you have these tornadoes that develop along the leading edge, they can show up briefly once in one radar scan and then disappear in the next radar scan. They're typically not the type of tornadoes that stay on the ground for all that long, and especially with these thunderstorms coming into the state line area. Here's Centropolis, maybe a little bit of an area of rotation perhaps right in through there. And then, you know, these other storms that are up there, there's Baldwin City west of there, still doesn't look, you know, all that concerning. But the Weather Service wanted to be proactive and issue these tornado warnings. The bigger picture for these storms, these will be passing the area of rotation, at least this part. Here's a whole thing here. You can see it from north of Tonganoxie, Centropolis, down to approaching the Pomona area. So numerous severe thunderstorm warnings all over the place, including the west side of the metro. But this particular core of this particular wedge, if you will, of a line of tornadoes is going to be more focused south of I-70 and perhaps even south of 435 on the south side of Kansas City. So here's 435, goes up and around, and it looks like this would stay more towards the south. Again, for Baldwin City, we want you to be in your safe spot, to be on the safe side. Some pea-sized hail now being reported south of Clinton. In Douglas County, pea-sized hail reported there. New severe thunderstorm warnings are coming out for parts of Douglas, Franklin, Osage County, all associated with that hot mess of a line of storms that continues through portions of eastern Kansas. Also up towards Andrew County, DeKalb County, Davies County, Gentry, Harrison, Mercer, Worth counties, Missouri. Basically a severe thunderstorm warning, baseline storm, 60-mile-an-hour winds possible up there towards far portions of northern Missouri. But again, the concern right now is this tornado warning that we continue to have in northern Franklin and southern portions of Douglas County. The tornado warning will continue for a while longer unless they cancel it. Hopefully they will cancel it prematurely, but we just want to be on the safe side. I know we've got a lot of folks in Franklin County in particular very sensitive about this type of weather, southern Douglas County as well. You can tell this is affecting roughly about 8,000 people. So Centropolis, looks like that little circulation is just north of Centropolis right now. There's Baldwin City. So Baldwin City, there's that 56 highway corridor. So that corridor seems to be, you know, where that circulation is pretty much right on top of 59, 56. You get that general idea, near and just towards the west of Baldwin City. So again, just to remind everybody in Baldwin City, if you know anybody down there, send them a text, get them into their safe spot. If that circulation is on the ground or trying to get on the ground, that's going to be just towards the west of 59, just towards the west of 59 highway. Again, there's Baldwin City. So that's our tornado warning. It includes Baldwin City, Overbrook, Wellsville as well. Radar indicated, again, nothing confirmed on the ground, but something that we're keeping a very careful eye on, as is Jacob, and he's got the Velocity products all ready to go for you. Jacob.
Yeah, Joe, and I was going to put a storm track here on this rotation. Thankfully, so the Topeka radar has been having some technical issues communicating with the Weather Service and us this evening. Thankfully, we're getting back with a steady connection, so we are getting some of these more frequent and rapid updates, which is good news. So this is just an updated ETA. The storm moving at about 45 miles per hour. Again, the rotation, I would say, is on the lower end of the scale, but it still could produce a brief, quick, weak tornado. I think it would be on the Douglas County side of the line, right near 56 highway at 59 highway. Okay, so just north of Centropolis. This is the latest ETA track. Baldwin City, the rotation will move right overhead in about 10 minutes at 8:30. And if this holds together, it'll pass just north of Wellsville there along 56 highway by 8:40. And then if, a big if, this holds together and the tornado warning gets extended into Johnson County, Edgerton, Gardner, we'd be watching you guys by 8:45-ish or so. So that's what's kind of coming down the line for this storm. I will say on the reflectivity mode, there is just a little bit of a notch right here, 56 highway, 59 highway in southern Douglas County. Again, this is not for Lawrence. This is for Baldwin City. And this is for Centropolis, Norwood, Wellsville. We did just get an update, too, on the tornado warning polygon that now removes kind of the southwestern corner of Douglas County. Centropolis, Baldwin City, Wellsville still in this until 9 o'clock. Again, back to the severe thunderstorm warning here in the KC Metro. We still have this in effect for Leavenworth, Wyandotte, Johnson County. So there's the tornado warning down near Baldwin City. Severe warnings on the west side of the metro. I want to go back to the radar view of these storms up in Leavenworth County and zoom in on that and just make sure that there is no signs of any rotation. I'm not seeing anything impressive, but there is a little bit of a curvature here to the storm north of Baser to Lansing and Leavenworth. So that's something I'll watch here. Not really showing that there's rotation, but if this continues, and we even have a little nudger, kind of this bright spot near I-70 south of Tonganoxie, if that kind of gets ingested by this storm, it might try to rotate a little bit. So that's what we'll watch. Yes, you can kind of see here in the box on the right side of your screen, this is the camera from the Speedway looking west into this severe thunderstorm. The lightning has really gone up here in the last couple of minutes. So let's keep that view up because we're going to see the shelf cloud probably approach the speedway here in the next couple of minutes. I'll go back here to the tornado warning where we still have some weak rotation just north of Centropolis, just west of Baldwin City. Nothing screaming tornado on the ground at me, which is good news, but it could produce a brief touchdown here. 59 Highway, 56 Highway is the intersection where the rotation is right now. Baldwin City in about 5 minutes, the rotation will be overhead. I'm not sure if we're getting any reports yet. Looks like the wind threat may be increasing a little bit now as this line of storms moves towards the KC Metro. Also watching a few pockets of hail out here approaching Centropolis, Clinton Lake. We got some pea-sized hail as well in western Douglas County. I do have a confirmed report of that. And maybe even a little hail core in northern Leavenworth County, just approaching K92, coming into Leavenworth. Wouldn't be shocked if the city of Leavenworth maybe even gets some peas or dime-sized hail out of this storm as it comes through. So that's the situation when it comes to hail. It's not a significant threat. The wind, our primary issue with these storms coming into the metro. And again, we'll kind of watch this leading edge. I'll take a wider view and just give an ETA for the rest of the metro because I know this is going to impact almost all of us over the next, say, 1 to 2 hours. So I'll up the speed because this is speeding up and estimate 50 miles per hour here over the next hour or so. This puts it in Bonner Springs around 8:35, Olathe 8:50, Kansas City between 8:50 and 9 o'clock, Liberty 9 o'clock, Independence, Lee Summit 9:15. That might be a little bit aggressive on the speed there, but this is picking up speed. The wind threat can increase a little bit as this moves towards the state line. I will say, Joe, some impressive lightning increasing there from our Speedway camera in the last couple minutes.
Yeah, definitely a little uptick as far as that goes. We did have some new warnings come out, severe thunderstorm warnings concerning more of the metro. That would include northwestern Miami County, southwestern portions of Johnson County on the Kansas side. Severe thunderstorm warnings go for you until 9:15. Potential for some quarter-size hail, perhaps some 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That's what we refer to as a base severe thunderstorm warning. Back to our tornado warning, which continues for southern portions of Douglas County, northern portions of Franklin County. Here's Ottawa. So this is going to be north of 68 Highway. So Ottawa, you are not included in that tornado warning. The circulation, again, radar indicated there might be a little something right there near and just towards the north of Baldwin City. That's 56. And then a little circulation perhaps just towards the west or almost on top now of the 59 highway corridor coming out of Ottawa and heading on up towards Lawrence. So a couple of little small circulations that we're watching, and that's prompted that tornado warning that continues up until about 9 o'clock. And again, for Baldwin City, I want you to be in your safe spot, whether it's that little circulation or the one that's just to your south and west along 59 Highway. Let's just make sure you're in your safe spot for now, just to be on the safe side as this storm continues to move off towards the east. Jacob was mentioning around 40, 45 miles an hour, might be accelerating just, excuse me, just a little bit. So tornado warnings continue for part of our viewing area. That's why we've broken into programming. We've been providing a lot of coverage on our streaming channel, WDAF+. We've been staying on the air, or rather on our streaming channel for the purpose of this storm that was coming out of Osage County. Did have a history of producing tornadoes out in Lyon County. No reports of any tornadoes in Osage County, but there was still enough going on with it as it came out of the county to prompt, again, these new tornado warnings that have been issued for southern Douglas, northern reaches of Franklin County. Again, for Ottawa, and I know I'm repeating myself for Ottawa, but folks in Ottawa are a little jumpy when it comes to this type of weather right now. This is to your north for this one particular cell. There are some other cells coming towards Ottawa. Right now they don't look overly severe, maybe some 60-mile-an-hour winds or something like that. West side of the metro also under severe thunderstorm warnings. Does not include KC Mo, but we're getting there. We'll probably have some warnings come out for the remainder of the metro here very shortly. Stronger winds, perhaps 40 to 60-mile-an-hour winds possible. Now that these storms are getting into a more populated area, we'll see whether or not we start getting some better reports or more significant reports of some of these stronger winds that are coming on through. Again, large area of a severe thunderstorm watch. That includes Kansas City. This goes until midnight. The worst of the weather here in Kansas City proper, probably over with within the next hour and a half or so. for areas off to our east, Topeka into Jefferson County, the threat of a tornado for Jefferson County seems to be just about done now, likewise in Shawnee County. But we'll continue to watch things. And just remember, just because we're under a severe thunderstorm watch, along the leading edge, you can get these little spin-ups, these little spinners that can do some damage. So that's why, even though it is a severe thunderstorm watch, we just want you to be aware that there could still be one of these little renegade spinners along the leading edge. Right now, no big indications of that happening, but there are a couple little notches that we're watching. You see that little, I'll stop the radar so you can kind of make it out a little bit more. See this little notch right here. There might be another one down here, maybe a couple of others down here towards Baldwin City where we've got that tornado warning. Those are the little notches that we watch for maybe some stronger winds, perhaps some extreme winds, and perhaps even some tornadoes. Should be brief if there is one at all. Hopefully not. Hopefully we're just transitioning into what we expected during the course of the day, which would be a mainly wind risk for Kansas City along with some small hail. Baldwin City, again, I want you in your safe spot just for a little while longer, maybe about another 10 minutes or so until that little curvature, if you will, to our radar echoes gets a little further east. That's 56 Highway. You folks over towards Edgerton and Gardner, let's just pay attention to what's going on to your west into southern portions of Douglas County. Hopefully no tornado warnings for southwestern Johnson County, but pay attention. Again, with these little areas of potential low-level rotation, we just have to kind of be really watchful of what's going on with some of this activity. Centropolis, now you're getting the thunder, the lightning, but any low-level rotation is now off towards the east of Centropolis. Approaching Baldwin City right now. Again, nothing to my knowledge reported on the ground, no funnel clouds or anything like that to my knowledge. Just basically pea-sized hail reports. That seems to be the most common thing. An updated report from my colleagues at the National Weather Service in Topeka indicating at 8:29, it's 8:32. Emergency management, here we go, reported a funnel cloud along Highway 59 right along the Douglas County border at 8:29. So if nothing else, we know that this storm is producing a funnel cloud as it approaches Baldwin City. So again, another reason why you folks in Baldwin City, safe spot right now. Get yourself down, lowest part of your home, preferably first floor. Don't want you to be upstairs. Closet, bathroom, some sort of enclosed room. If you have a basement, that would be even better. Again, Baldwin City, let's make sure you're in your safe spot. We did get a report of a funnel cloud associated with that out there towards 59 Highway. Getting a little tougher now to make out the visuals of these storms just because now we've lost the sunshine and now we're relying on lightning to kind of illuminate things, but there's enough lightning going on, so the area of rotation is pretty much right on top of Baldwin City right now. There's so much lightning going on to the west, this is quite the light show. So we could get a decent view with the lightning kind of showing the leading edge of these storms. And again, a spotter did report a funnel cloud along 59 Highway towards the west of Baldwin City. That was right along the county line, by the way, out there into western portions of Douglas County. So that tornado warning continues for that area down there. Moderate rain reported south of Eudora. Wind shifted to the north. Winds gusted to about 30 miles an hour. Temperatures dropping. So that's an update from the Eudora area. Also a report of some smallish hail with some of these storms as well into Douglas County. Pea-sized hail reported right now over towards Tonganoxie. That report about a minute old for the Tonganoxie area. So some pea-sized hail reported from that. Still not seeing any big indications of stronger winds from these storms. With more on that, because I see he's got the velocity product ready to go. Here's meteorologist Jacob Lanier. Jacob.
Yeah, Joe, so I'm kind of looking along this line. As you were saying, there's some little nooks and crannies, if you will, here in Leavenworth County. One or two notches on radar, and I'm looking if there's going to be kind of a leading edge of wind or even maybe a quick spin up. I'm seeing a little something right along K7 here, say between Baser and Lansing, right really almost on Lansing, approaching K5 there. Just a little something near Farley and Waldron that could be crossing the Missouri River here in the next couple of minutes. Also, control room, can we box the Speedway camera again, because the leading edge of storms is now almost on to the Kansas Speedway, and it'll be interesting. Can we even take this full screen just for a moment? So this is the live view from the Speedway. We're looking due west into the storms. You can see the shelf cloud being illuminated by lightning. No major lowerings, though, which is good news out here in Wyandotte County, where there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. So this is the Kansas Speedway looking right into the heart of the line of severe thunderstorms. So that leading cloud edge that you see, the shelf cloud, all the lightning, that's in Basser and Bonner Springs, just a couple of miles away from the Speedway. And there's a lightning bolt, wow, right there on the Speedway. Okay, we can come back to me here on the radar. And it looks like that we got a new severe thunderstorm warning kind of ahead of this tornado warning for the rest of, or a good chunk of now Johnson County, even parts of northwestern Miami County, Ottawa now included in this severe thunderstorm warning. And so let's query this. This new severe warning includes Gardner and Olathe, and this should go until, and even the Spring Hill area. Let's see if I can zoom in and get the time frame on this. This should go until 9:15. For Edgerton and Gardner. So we still are on the air right now because we're tracking the tornado warning near Baldwin City. This tornado warning goes until 9 o'clock. I'm going to zoom in and get an updated looking at the rotation here near Baldwin City and turn on our velocity mode, which is just the winds. And thankfully, the Topeka radar is back up and operational, so we can kind of look inside of there. There's a little something still right now approaching 1700th Road, Ohio Road, just south of Baldwin City. It's not a lot, it's not a big rotation, but we do have a report of a funnel cloud from the emergency manager now here near Baldwin City. So again, if there's a quick touchdown of that funnel cloud, this is where it would be. So we're at 56 Highway, North 6th Street, 1700th Road, south of Baldwin City. That's where there could be a brief spin up or touchdown from the lowering the rotating wall cloud, funnel cloud that we do have down in the extreme southern portion of Douglas County. So the tornado warning continues. Reminder, this does not include Ottawa. It does not include Lawrence. It does not include Eudora. This is only for Baldwin City and Wellsville. If this rotation holds together, this might be extended to include places like Edgerton and Gardner. So that's where we're going to be kind of watching next. I will turn on the radar and we'll do an updated storm track for this tornado warned storm. Again, rotation is not screaming at me. There is a funnel cloud, or was, on this storm. So if there's still a funnel cloud, it might be near Edgerton, say by 8:50, 8:55, Gardner by 9 o'clock, Spring Hill just after 9. So that's something we're going to watch. And again, this tornado warning for southern Douglas County and northern Franklin County until 9 o'clock. There also is a little hail core there north of Baldwin City. Wouldn't be surprised if we're getting dime, penny-size hail. Vinland neighborhood, they're south of K10, but north of 56 Highway, just on the north side of Baldwin City. That's where there could be a little bit of hail with the storm. Also some small hail possibly approaching the Leavenworth and Lansing area. And it looks like, Joe, that in the National Weather Service communication, they're kind of eyeing that same spot that I was trying to point out with a little bit of maybe weak rotation near Lansing, Waldron. That's just something I'm going to keep an eye on here this evening, is for one or two quick spin-ups. It's not a tornado by any means, but this is the conditions that might lead to a quick spin-up here in Leavenworth, Platte County. We'll watch for it. Right now, it's just a severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll watch this. Mainly, it's a damaging wind threat moving into the metro, Joe.
Yeah, and I'll also point out that this brand new severe thunderstorm warning, which now encompasses most areas, just about everybody, north and west of I-35, you notice this red outline to our yellow coloring on the inside. This indicates tornado possible. So that kind of circles around to what Jacob was talking about these little eddies along the leading edge of the thunderstorms, whether or not one of them could try to produce and come down to the ground and create maybe a little localized area of damage. So far, really, at least so far, we haven't heard too much in terms of any actual severe weather reports, nothing in terms of quarter-size hail with these storms. Haven't heard much about 60-mile-an-hour winds either. But again, lots of warnings in effect from essentially Clinton County, Platte, northwestern portions of Clay County, just about everybody north and west of I-35, including northwestern Miami County. We continue to have our tornado warning for southern Douglas and northern Franklin County. Again, nothing reported on the ground to our knowledge. We did get a report of a funnel cloud out there towards 59 Highway, west of Baldwin City, a little earlier, right along the county line. So basically, these storms that are coming in have the ability of producing perhaps 60-mile-an-hour winds, maybe some hail upwards of quarter size, although a lot of the hail reports thus far have been in the neighborhood of pea to dime size hail. But to be specific, severe thunderstorm warning for Wyandotte County, Leavenworth County, northern Johnson County on the Kansas side, southeast Buchanan County, central Clinton County, western Clay County, Platte County, until 9:15. So 9:15. Storms are accelerating a little bit more towards the east at around 50-ish miles an hour. So for those of you who are waiting on the storms, they're getting there, or getting to you slowly but surely. Let's go ahead and put a broad storm track on this as these storms come into the metro. And with the storms moving at their current pace, they'll be approaching downtown Kansas City here in the next probably about 10-15 minutes or so. Liberty by about 9:02, Lee Summit by 9:27, Pleasant Hill by about 9:53, Chillicothe 10:03, Higginsville by about 10:16. Hopefully the storms weaken just a little bit more as they move off towards the east and get further east of Kansas City. At least that's what some of our data would suggest during the course of the day. You folks up in northeastern Andrew County, you have been dropped from the tornado or from the severe thunderstorm warning. However, it remains for southeastern Worth, northwestern Davies, eastern Gentry, Mercer, Harrisonville, and northern DeKalb County. We'll quickly go up there just to kind of bring everybody up to date for northern Missouri. Those storms are up there. They seem to be generally our generic severe thunderstorms capable of producing perhaps some 60-mile-an-hour winds. Meanwhile, further south, let's take you back into the northern portions of Franklin County, southern Douglas County. This sort of, to me, at least just looking at radar, kind of looks like a little mishmash right now. There might be still a little small area of circulation along the leading edge of this, probably very close to or just north of Edgerton, maybe something right there. And we'll also keep an eye on that little area. This would be just towards the north and west of Ottawa, where a severe thunderstorm warning continues as well. Getting some indications as I look at radar that the storm may be trying to bow out just a little bit. Again, we haven't gotten any real strong reports of really bad winds, but now that we're getting these storms into a populated area, we may start seeing more of these 40, 50, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, maybe even something a little bit more than that. So just a heads up for Edwardsville, the leading edge of that mess, coming your way by 8:44 in the next minute or two. Shawnee by about 8:52, Overland Park near 9 o'clock. Casey Mo around State Line, heart of Kansas City, around 9:06, or actually check that, 9:01. Clay Como at 9:06 in Liberty by about 9:10. That's the leading edge of these storms, which basically now moving into Wyandotte County as we speak. So again, could see a little uptick in some of these stronger winds. For areas further south of Kansas City, we continue to have this tornado warning for southern Douglas County, as well as the northern reaches of Franklin County. Again, no reports of tornadoes at this point. We're going to just kind of keep our fingers crossed that continues through the night. Report of some pea-sized hail right now, 123rd and Donahue, KCK, and also nickel-sized hail in that general area as well, 20, 30-mile-an-hour winds up into Leavenworth County, up towards 150th Street. So you cross over the border into Leavenworth County, you're getting some slightly larger hail. There has been, let's see, no updates really concerning that tornado warning in northern Franklin or southern Douglas County. A new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued down towards Anderson County. That would be southwestern Anderson County for the potential of maybe some 60-mile-an-hour winds. Southwestern Anderson County, that would be associated with these storms that are coming out of the New Stratton area, or New Strawn area rather. Oh, look at that little thing. Over there just towards the west of Burlington. It looks sort of interesting. Let's keep an eye on that. You folks in Anderson, keep an eye on that, or Anderson County rather. But the storms that are moving through southwestern Franklin County and moving into Ottawa County, that would be connected to this area right in through here. And these storms are also capable of producing maybe 60-mile-an-hour winds, something just a little bit more than that. So that's just an update for areas a little further south and southwest of Kansas City. We continue to have our tornado warning, though, and this is what we're watching for the northern reaches, or actually the southern southeastern portion of Douglas County and the north central and northeastern portion of Franklin County, north of Ottawa. Again, I'm stressing north of Ottawa for you folks. So Ottawa right now, that tornadic risk from that storm is going to be towards your north. Keep an eye on what's going on to your west, but at least from this one storm that's up here towards the northern and northeastern portion of Franklin County, the tornadic risk is north of Ottawa. And again, this tornado warning will continue up until about 9 o'clock. A light show going on right now out towards Kansas Speedway. Jacob.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. So I wanted to pull up the camera out here looking due west from the Speedway. So Legends area, Wyandotte County. I mean, it's essentially nonstop lightning as the strong winds move through in this severe line of thunderstorms. So this is the lightning threat that's going to be moving across the entire metro over the next hour. So just a heads up, west side, this is what it's looking like. Again, I mean, really nonstop. And we can even see here from our Overland Park camera, we can see kind of the leading edge of the wind, the shelf cloud there off in the distance. So it's only a couple miles away now, and the lightning behind it once those thunderstorms arrive. A similar story here from the Plaza camera, as we can see kind of the leading edge. The lightning is the only way we can illuminate some of these clouds, and you can see kind of the shelf cloud when the lightning happens behind it. The good news is, though, along this shelf cloud, I'm not seeing any major lowerings, which is a good thing because we don't want to have any quick spin-ups for sure. But it's just kind of a wall of wind now that's moving into the metro. And I'll tell you, the radar is very sharp coming into the Kansas City metro. Typically, when we have reflectivity, which is our normal product here that I'm showing you, when we go from light green to really dark red really fast, that's called a tight gradient on reflectivity, and that means that the winds are very strong, and this is a sharp edge of winds that's moving into the metro and across the 435 loop right now. Kind of maximized, I would say, in Wyandotte County, coming right into the metro. We're still watching. This severe warning for most of the metro still has what we call a tag, or an update from the Weather Service that says there is a possible a tornado cannot be ruled out. A tornado is possible in this line of thunderstorms moving into the metro. And I'm seeing just one or two little notches. That's really kind of what we look for if there's going to be a quick spin up. It's barely noticeable, but maybe something right there along the river, so we can get a better picture if we switch over to our wind mode. Is there any wind that's trying to rotate closely together? And there's just a couple of areas with very weak or just a regular surge of straight line winds that can cause damage right near Shawnee on the Wyandotte-Johnson County line. Maybe near Parkville or Weatherby Lakes, a quick surge of winds also up near the airport. So I'll see if I can, so this is kind of our storm relative motion. We'll turn on the regular reflectivity. And again, this is a little bit up in the storm, but that's a surge of strong winds there right now on the Wyandotte-Johnson County border. So that's severe speed, 60 miles per hour, just now crossing 435, heading towards 635, Shawnee, South KCK. That's a pretty solid gust of wind that could do some power pole damage, power outages, and that's why we have this almost metro-wide severe thunderstorm warning, if you will. Again, the red box around this from Clay, Platte, Clinton, Wyandotte County is where there's the potential for a quick spin up in this line. So now kind of a solid line of severe warnings from Garnett to Ottawa to Olathe to downtown Kansas City up towards Smithville. And this is mainly for 60-mile-per-hour winds that'll come through. We did have a report about half an hour ago of a funnel cloud near Baldwin City, but it looks like now the good news is that tornado warning has been canceled. So the tornado threat has kind of weakened to a degree that the National Weather Service has dropped the tornado warning, which is good. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings for the metro, and these are again looking pretty beefy. I'm going to see if we can come back to my Overland Park camera because this is a solid line of winds that's about to move across Wyandotte, the rest of Johnson County, as we kind of take this camera looking north. It's hard to distinguish here, but kind of see this white edge of the clouds and then the darker clouds underneath. This is the shelf cloud. That's the leading edge of the damaging 50, 60 mile per hour winds. The lightning and heavy rain come behind that. And so that might be if you are still out and about, hopefully you're inside or can step inside quickly. That's that leading edge of thunderstorms that's now moving across the metro. So there's the plaza view also showing some of the lightning. It's a lot of lightning, and I would say, Joe, in the last 30 minutes, the lightning count has gone back up. It decreased for a little bit. It's gone back up. Probably now up to 400 or 500 lightning strikes.
You know, I wonder, as we broke out into that late, very late afternoon sunshine, maybe we perked up a little instability as these storms now coming into that instability. There are power outages. Evergy right now reporting just shy of 1,000 customers without power. BPU, though, over into Wyandotte County, there is an area roughly from I-70 east. So picture I-70, now picture 435. And then go, east from that general area, about 1.6, so 1,600 folks without power, maybe even throw in another 100 as you get a little further east of Edwardsville. So about 1,700 folks now without power in Wyandotte County. That would be along and just towards the north of the Kansas River and predominantly south of I-70 and east of Edwardsville. That would be just southeast of the Turnpike. So we've got a bunch of people without power. And again, as I mentioned, Evergy reporting at last check a minute ago. Let me check real quickly since I've started talking about it. All right, now up to about 1,300 customers without power. So there was an immediate 400 customer tick up with these storms coming through. And it could be wind related. It could be lightning related because as Jacob illustrated, there's a tremendous amount of lightning going on with these storms coming through. I'm going to assume we've got our generator on here at the station with these storms coming on in. So here's an updated timeline. Storms now approaching Kansas City. We're just going to stay on the air into the 9 o'clock newscast. Liberty right now, 9:06. That's when the storms are heading towards you, the leading edge. Independence, 9:10. Blue Springs, 9:26. Lee Summit, around 9:28. Oak Grove, around 9:42. And Lexington, by about 9:47. That's the leading edge of these thunderstorms, which may have the capability of producing 40 to 60 mile an hour winds. But at least, maybe some of these power outages are wind related, perhaps they're lightning related. But at least so far, we haven't gotten anything really confirming any of these super duper strong winds. Okay, now we do. Johnson County spotter report near 70 mile an hour winds. Out in northwestern Johnson County, 136. I don't know if that's 136th and Sunflower, correction, I-35 and Sunflower. That's out there by the golf course into northern Johnson County, northwestern Johnson County. So we do have a report now of near 70 mile an hour winds. That is out, as I mentioned, towards I-35 and Sunflower. And again, these storms are moving pretty much due east. So if nothing else, we're probably going to get 60-ish mile an hour winds, maybe even something a little bit stronger coming right to the state line. So that could knock out some power. I don't think the winds will be strong enough to trigger off the emergency alerts, the WIA system, but certainly we'll keep an eye on it. Jacob pointed out a minute ago how some of these storms seem to be getting a little more bullish with their lightning production, indicating that maybe we're starting to see a little bit of an intensity tick up from some of this. Jacob's got a picture from KCI. Jacob.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. So just got this in from one of our great FOX4 storm chasers and photographers, Mason McCall. This is just a little bit of a lowering, maybe a weak wall cloud over KCI. And you can see kind of the heavy rain shaft there moving over the runways. So this, I think, might be correlated to one of the brief spin-up spots that we're just looking for. Again, no tornado for sure, but it is a little bit of a lowering, and that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye on closely. On our velocity mode, where we're looking at the winds kind of relative to the radar. So that's the view from the airport. As I jump back over now here to the radar, I kind of want to show you where this is. So there you go, kind of up towards the north. That's where these greens and reds are coming together just a little bit. And again, this is not necessarily a tornado, but it's kind of indicative of maybe an attempt at a quick spin up or something along the leading edge of this line. So there's one or two isolated spots up in Platte County. I mean, there is one or two spots. I don't think these are going to be tornadoes, but just kind of little quick rotation spots right over KCK, another one kind of over the Argentine neighborhood. It's interesting, Joe. I don't know if on your analysis radar these are showing up any better, but there's just enough on the velocity that there's a little kink. I don't think they're spinning up anything right now, but that's something we're going to have to monitor over the next hour or so as this moves through Metro. Regardless, I mean, even there on radar, Joe, look at that. Like two little
notches.
So there's a notch here over the north side of KCK, another one over the Argentine neighborhood, say moving towards Midtown KC. Don't think these are tornadoes, but they would have the potential maybe for a brief spin up. It's possible, and these last so quickly, only a minute or two, that sometimes the radar can miss them completely. And so that's where we'll see, again, maybe just, you don't want to be outside in this severe thunderstorm for sure, but maybe brief rotation trying to happen in towards North KCK, about to cross the river, say towards Riverside or North Kansas City, Argentine neighborhood, maybe heading towards here at the Midtown Kansas City. Just watching these again for maybe some brief rotation. Again, wind's the main risk with this as this moves across the state line here shortly. So that's the view of radar. This is kind of a wall of wind, wall of rain, and a lot of lightning. The lightning strikes really have gone up. Over 400 strikes now in the last 15 minutes. So that's a big increase from what we have saw earlier. Joe?
Tornado warning coming out. You were just showing the picture from KCI.
Is that it?
We're gonna have a tornado warning coming here just towards the east of KCI for a possible. There it is, popping up on your screen right there. This is a new tornado warning that is now being issued. This will be including parts of Clay, Platte, and Ray County. In particular, Clay County, West Central Ray, East Central Platte County now under a tornado warning until 9:45. We're getting reports of severe thunderstorms capable of producing not only tornadoes, but extensive straight-line wind damage located over Lake Wacomas, near the Gladstone area, moving towards the east at around 40 miles an hour. So I'm going to give you a time frame on this here in just a second. But again, this is a new tornado warning that has just come out for areas on the north part of Kansas City. Up towards the Liberty area, your sirens are probably going off. Gladstone probably going off. Nashua going off as well in terms of tornado sirens into Platte County, Lake Wacomas, perhaps Ectonville, Kearney sirens may be triggering now, Excelsior Springs, Mosby, all the way down towards Missouri City, and perhaps as far north as Lawson. This is a new tornado warning. Radar indicated rotation. Jacob was pointing out that little suspicious area up there near the KCI region. And as a result, we've gone ahead and issued that tornado warning for that area up towards Platte County as well as parts of Clay County as well. So that's a tornado warning now that is in effect for that general area up there towards Platte County and points eastward from there. It's just, again, one of these probably leading edge type things, but you kind of get an idea of the coverage that we're looking at here. And I know everything is generally fine right now in Kearney and fine in Liberty, maybe some light rain or sprinkles, Excelsior Springs and Missouri City. But again, this is 291, 435, and that little area of circulation would probably be right about there, give or take, somewhere around here near Farrellview, right along that 291 corridor. And that's involving close to 59,000 of our viewers up there towards eastern portions of Clay County and into the eastern portions of Platte County and into Clay County as well. So for you folks up to our north, we want you to make sure you are taking cover from this storm, the whole set of storms moving through the metro as we speak right now. And again, wind damage is possible. Power outages are cropping up all over the place now. Sirens running in the Parkville area. This is probably going to be more towards the north of Parkville. So for you folks in Parkville, even though the sirens are going off, I think the worst of your weather is going to be off towards your east and northeast too. But you could still get maybe a 60 or a 65 mile an hour wind gust in Parkville as well as through the state line and down the state line too, for that matter. So again, our tornado warning continues for this general area. I'm going to turn off the lightning. I'm going to stop the radar for you. Let's see if we can make out any sort of circulation. Kind of tough to make out any individual circulation, but we did get, maybe something right there towards the Nashua area, right up there towards 291, 435, if you will. So that would be heading towards Kearney, probably by about 9:13, Excelsior Springs by about 9:21. that general area. I need to switch my radar over to KCI too. Holt by about 9:18. So if you live in Kearney, I want you to go ahead and take cover from this storm to be on the safe side. Hopefully all it does is produce some winds, but even if it's not a tornado, these little notches can do a little bit more on the extreme wind side of the equation, where you can get a 60 or a 70 mile an hour wind, and that will knock out the power, that will knock down fences, that will knock down some pretty big tree limbs. So again, tornado warning continues for this general area just towards the north of downtown, and particularly over towards the Liberty area, heading towards Excelsior Springs and around the Kearney area as well. Jacob.
Yeah, so Joe, again, about 15 minutes ago is when we saw this wall cloud up near the airport, KCI, which is what triggered kind of this tornado warning. So that was what it looks like up at KCI maybe about 10, 15 minutes ago. Now this is the view over downtown Kansas City as this kind of wall of wind and rain is moving through. Our Plaza camera also really showing the strong winds. I want to jump over here to the radar and the reflectivity just to show that there's another little notch I'm watching. Again, we have the tornado warning right now for the Northland, so that's kind of moving away from, we'll say it's near 169 highway, North Kansas City, 152 highway, kind of right around 152 and 169. That's tracking up towards the east-northeast. There's this other little notch too that I'm seeing on the east side of Kansas City, almost out near Independence, and possibly not far from the stadiums either, when I turn on our velocity mode, just seeing a little bit of a meeting of the reds and the greens, which means that the winds are trying to kind of rotate in this area. Again, nothing super strong, but right about there. Okay, so out towards 435 on the east side of Kansas City near the stadium complex. Little weak rotation, a surge of winds for sure moving over downtown Kansas City, the historic northeast neighborhood, North Kansas City out towards Worlds of Fun now along the river. That's a surge of winds there on the east side of downtown, and then up north. There's still this kind of brighter colors with some rotation up in the Northland. I'll query these and just kind of show you what we're talking about. 35 to 40 miles per hour each direction, which means, we can maybe estimate 70 to 80 mile per hour rotation if that's a tornado that's on the weaker side. It's still something though. So right where 435 turns from going north back towards the west. So kind of the northeast corner of 435 is where the possible tornado could be right now in Clay County. And it is also 9 o'clock right now, so let's start Fox 4 News at 9.
From the station that's working for you, this is Fox 4 News at 9 p.m.
Okay, so we're on the air this evening here at Fox 4 News at 9 o'clock for a tornado warning in the Kansas City Northland. This is for Clay County, parts of western Ray County. This tornado warning goes until 9:45. Meteorologist Joe Lauria also here tracking the storm for me. And Joe, this is just kind of that quick spin-up potential in this line of winds.
That we've been worried about, right? So the good news is parts of Platte County that you were under that tornado warning, that has been dropped for the east central portion of Platte County. So certainly some good news regarding that. For you folks over towards the Kearney area, though, you are square in this one. So let's get you folks in Kearney into a safe spot right now. There's the 291, 435 area right in through there. So the circulation itself would probably be still just towards the east, well east now of KCI, moving into the far western portion of Clay County, right along 169, south of Smithville. If you live in Smithville, the worst will be to your south in terms of any circulation. And that's kind of going right towards the Kearney area. Let's keep Excelsior Springs and Lawson as well into the loop on this, particularly Excelsior Springs. You folks over towards Lawson, you're kind of right on the edge of this particular tornado warning, and this is going to go up until about 9:45. So we continue to have our tornado warning in effect there. KCI, or actually check that downtown, reporting now winds or a wind gust to 61 miles an hour, 61 miles an hour. And that's also been moving through the plaza area as well, potentially 60 to 70 mile an hour winds moving right through the plaza. So another one of those fascinating evolutions of these storms where it was tough to come by any winds of significance west of the metro. And then once they got into the metro, all of a sudden we started to turn these things into pretty good wind producers. And now we're starting to see more of these 60 or 70 mile an hour winds ripping through parts of the area. And that's what you could expect along the leading edge of these thunderstorms. And again, remember, this area that you see outlined for you in red represents our tornado warning that goes up until about 8:45. The whole line of storms continues to move through the state line. So this is a pretty beefy line of thunderstorms. And again, it's creating some pretty nasty winds with it, whether or not it's a tornado or just regular straight line winds. They are problematic, and they are knocking out power in a large swath of the metro right now. Quite a few thousands of people without power. As we update our storm track for you, Kearney, this is heading towards you here in the next minute or two. Excelsior Springs heading your way by 9:15, Wood Heights by 9:20, Knoxville by 9:27, and Dockery by about 9:29. That would be more towards the east of our current tornado warning. Hopefully, what history has shown us so far this evening is that typically these are more or less one and done, because these storm circulations along the leading edge have a tough time maintaining themselves for any length of time. And while the tornado warning will be a trigger for you to get yourself into a safe spot, just remember, even if it's not a tornado, this thing is probably still cranking out some pretty impressive winds, and we've got numerous severe thunderstorm warnings connected to these strong winds being pushed out by the thunderstorms all over the place. 60 to 70 mile an hour winds coming out of these storms. And again, we just had a report from the downtown airport of a 60 mile an hour or 61 mile an hour wind. KCI, or just towards the east of KCI airport up there, reporting 65 to near 70 mile an hour winds. And while the sirens may still be going off up in Platte County, the tornado warning has come to an end for Platte County. Platte County only. The tornado warning has come to an end for Platte County, but it continues for the northern reaches of Clay County, in particular around and just close to that Liberty area. That's where we continue to have our tornado warning that's in effect. It looks like now they've kind of refined it just a little bit and taken Liberty out of that tornado warning, except for maybe the far north side of Liberty. So here's 33. I'll get you up towards Mosby and Excelsior Springs. That seems to be the southern edge of our tornado warning. And then the northern edge of the tornado warning is up here towards the north of Kearney. So that puts Kearney right into it. The circulation itself would probably be right about there, and that would be going right towards Mosby and Excelsior Springs. Tornado or not, the potential certainly there for upwards of 60 to close to 70 mile an hour winds. So Clay County, or at least parts of Clay County, continue under a tornado warning until roughly 9:45. Jacob.
Yeah, Joe, so just wanted to show the metro view right now of the tornado warning here in the Northland. So again, kind of Kearney, Excelsior Springs, out into western Ray County as well. The rest of us in this severe thunderstorm warning, and that's mainly for 60 to 65 mile per hour winds as this line of storms moves through. We did get, again, as Joe mentioned, that report of just over 60 mile per hour winds downtown. Power outages continue to climb too. I just checked Wyandotte County alone, almost 3,000 outages. So this is a strong line of thunderstorms now moving through Jackson County, Clay County. It's a little weaker, I would say, on the south side of Johnson County, which is good, but it's this leading edge of the bow echo. So this is almost kind of one of those bows where, so think about a bow and arrow, right? And that's, or a backward C. That's kind of what this looks like to me a little bit as I just kind of trace this on radar. So they're from Plattsburgh out towards Liberty down into Jackson County. So the worst winds typically in a bow echo like this are right on this leading edge, and then the spin up possible just towards the north. So that's Liberty. That's essentially the Clay Jackson County line, Independence, Buckner area along the Missouri River. That's where the strongest winds are most likely, we'll say, from Blue Springs to Excelsior Springs. So as we kind of turn it over to the wind mode and zoom in now we can see that's where kind of those strongest winds are surging. And again, a little bit of rotation in this tornado warning. If there is a brief touchdown from this, it would be nearing Kearney at I-35. So that's 92 highway there near the Kearney exit. on Interstate 35, just crossed Missouri Route A up along 92 near Ectonville. So this is just kind of on the north fringe of the metro here into northern Clay County where the tornado warning is. Further south, there's still kind of 1 or 2 notches, some surges of winds, say around the Birmingham area, right along the Missouri River. Latest scan has weakened that a little bit, which is good, but still kind of this surge of winds from Liberty down 291 highway into Independence. That's where the strongest winds are right now. And so this storm, the speed on this is moving out towards the east, and the latest speed from the National Weather Service is at 45, we can almost say 50 miles per hour now that this has picked up. So I'll do an updated storm track for this as it pushes now through the metro and off towards the east. So the line of strongest winds here, Clay, Jackson County, pushing off towards the east. Here's the updated time frame for us now. Grain Valley 9:20, Lee Summit 9:15, 9:20, Richmond 9:30, Odessa, Missouri 9:40, Norburn 9:50, Higginsville 9:50, Carrollton after 10 o'clock. So this is the line of strongest storms pushing east along the Kansas City metro. And again, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for kind of this Missouri side now of the metro until 9:30. That's Clay, Jackson, and even the Johnson-Wyandotte County side now until 9:30. So a good chunk of us, 1 to 2 million people included in this warning as the line of winds are coming on through. Still kind of seeing a little bit of a notch trying to form there near Missouri City. The National Weather Service doing a pretty good job at watching out for any of these. Looks like Wyandotte County now, 3,500 power outages. And then churning on the velocity. This is still kind of the zone, Independence to Liberty. There's a little something right there along 210 highway, right along the Missouri River, near the Atherton neighborhood, Birmingham neighborhoods, right on the river. Wouldn't be shocked if that has a wall cloud on it for sure as it tracks off towards the east. Still the strongest rotation. It's still broad though, I would say, is right now at Kearney and I-35. So northern Clay County, that's where the tornado warning is in effect. And it looks like we're now getting a new tornado warning for another circulation just north of that. And this is into southern Caldwell and Clinton counties now. So between Holt and Plattsburgh. So this is a new tornado warning, Joe, that just came in from the National Weather Service.
Yeah, just been issued a second ago. I don't have, here it is right now, as a matter of fact, whoops. Did get a report of 65-mile-an-hour winds, as I mentioned, just towards the east of KCI. The new tornado warning is for southeastern Clinton County, north central Clay. So Clay County now under a couple of tornado warnings. Northwestern Ray County, a couple of tornado warnings there. Western Caldwell County, that goes until about 10 o'clock or so for tonight. I do want you folks in the Kearney area, stay in your safe spot right now. That circulation is just about on top of Kearney right now, right along I-35. Still showing signs of rotation. Nothing reported on the ground, but it's night. It's tough to make out these small little spinners. So to be on the safe side for you folks in Kearney, let's get yourself into your safe spot. If you aren't there already, I want you to stay there for about 10, 15 more minutes. Due into Kearney now in the next minute or two. Assuming it holds together, let's see about Lawson by about 9:27, and then areas further east of there into the northern reaches of Clay and parts of Ray County. The storm that just got that brand new tornado warning is just to the north, and that concerns that little area that's very close to County Road C. That would be roughly the area of rotation. Might be even a couple little areas of rotation in there. So we'll kind of do a whole broad thing here and kind of take this off towards the east-northeast as well. Looks like we're getting another tornado warning too. This is for Lathrop. I want you folks in your safe spot, 9:24, and Barnesville by about 9:29, concerning this circulation that's moving towards the Barnesville area, southeast V Highway right there. You can kind of make out Highway 13 coming up towards Holt and north of Holt. It looks like this will probably pass just towards the north of County Road C. So if you live in Holt, that'll probably pass just to your north, but it's very, very close. So again, for you folks in Holt, I'd probably be in your safe spot just to be on the safe side, because that's an area that might be still in progress of trying to figure out what it's going to do, because there might be a little circulation there, maybe a little circulation somewhere back there as well. So again, we've got several tornado warnings now. Northern reaches of Clay County and that's going to be butting up right against Clinton County, and then more of Clay County down towards the Kearney area, where we continue to have tornado warnings in effect as well. So that is something else of noteworthiness. Meanwhile, let's go further south into Jackson County, where we have tornado warnings that have just been issued. This would be for the southern portion of Jackson, or check that, southern portion of Clay County, southeastern Clay County, southern Ray, northwestern Lafayette, and northeastern portions of Jackson County. Tornado warnings out until 9:45. Again, radar indicated rotations. This would be close to Missouri City, near Courtney, moving towards the east at roughly 50 or 55 miles an hour. That circulation, I believe Jacob was talking about this a second ago, is right about there. And as it moves off towards the east, that would affect Missouri City very shortly. Oric, 9:31, Fleming, 9:36, Rayville by about 9:40, excuse me, 9:41, and Richmond by about 9:44. Again, right around the Atherton area, near and north of Blue Mills. That little area of circulation right there is what we're keeping an eye on. You know, somewhere in this general area could have itself, you know, a little one of those quick little spin-ups. So all of a sudden, our board now is lit up. Instead of yellow areas of polygons representing severe thunderstorm warnings, now we've got quite a few red polygons, and those represent tornado warnings. Jacob.
Yeah, Joe, so I just wanted to show that here, the wider view. So there's 3 active tornado warnings on the east and northeast side of the metro. So this is for Clinton, Caldwell, Clay, Ray, northern Jackson, and extreme northern Lafayette counties until 9:45 or 10 o'clock, depending on what warning you're in. So the rotation essentially kind of at the center of these origination points. So in places like Kingston, Polo, tornado safe place now, Oric, Richmond, Buckner along the Missouri River there in southern Ray County, you want to head to your tornado safe place now as well. So I'm going to zoom in, start with this southern storm, work our way north. Again, everyone has seen these strong 60-mile-per-hour winds move through the metro, but now this is kind of a spin-up risk on the east and northeast side. So this is the southernmost tornado warning for Ray County predominantly, a clip of Clay, Lafayette, and Jackson County. The quick spin-up would be right near Missouri City. So that's where it is along 210 highway. So this would be tracking. And this is a pretty flat area. So you can kind of see a little bit of lowering or wall cloud if this is moving through. So 210 highway heading towards Richmond. If you live between Missouri City and Richmond, you want to go ahead and seek your safe place now. That's in a room, the lowest level in your home or apartment that you can, away from windows and doors. And there's some of the rotation, the tighter winds. I'll just query these near the Missouri City area. We can say about 70-mile-per-hour rotation there near Atherton, Blue Mills, Missouri City. If there is a tornado, it's right at County Road Double J and 210 Highway in Missouri City. That's about to cross now into the Ray County line. So let's now move to the second tornado warning up here further north. This has just moved through Kearney. I will say this looks a little bit weaker. And we are kind of hearing some tornado sirens in Kansas City proper, I will say. And the reason that is, there's not a tornado warning for Kansas City proper. But it's because that this northern part of Jackson County is in this warning. And now it just includes Sibley. And so the emergency managers here in Jackson County can only do a couple of zones. And so this northern zone of Jackson County to sound the tornado siren, unfortunately, it includes some around Kansas City proper. So that's why you may be hearing those. I just wanted to address that because I can hear them through our studio walls here at Fox 4. Okay, so this northernmost tornado warning is between Holt and Lathrop. As I turn on the rotation there, that is near 33 Highway rather, approaching 33 Highway between Holt and Lathrop, where there is a little bit of a couplet. It looks like this is almost delayed a touch on the velocity mode, but on the wind mode we can see it's kind of right there over Lathrop, and that is Southeast V Highway just to the west of Barnesville. So this could be crossing Interstate 35 shortly as well. So the rotation track on this shows there's a little bit rotation there near Lathrop. There's some rotation over Kearney, also Missouri City, and those are our 3 tornado warnings. No confirmation yet, Joe. I don't think of any touchdowns or damage from this, but these are short-lived kind of brief spin-ups.
Little spinners.
Yeah,
Yep.
mini spinners, yeah, and this QLCS, almost linear quasi, but it's doing some spin-up tornadoes, which we said could happen. And unfortunately, I think, like you mentioned, Joe, just that little bit of sunshine this afternoon. And our winds tonight are still a little bit out of the southeast. And I think that adds just enough low-level turning of the winds to spin up a few things.
And that little cell that's over there towards the south and east now of Missouri City, that's the one that I'm kind of watching. I wanted to show you this real quickly. Lots of power outages, obviously, but here's a quick little time lapse for you just to kind of see what happened at the plaza. The plaza had themselves a quick little burst of wind, maybe 60, close to 70 mile an hour winds coming through the west side of the plaza. So, you know, pretty impressive with these thunderstorms coming on through. But again, remember, parts of our area under tornado warnings. We've got several out there right now, including up until 9:45. Clay County is under several tornado warnings, so bear with us for Clay County. Jackson County, the extreme northeast corner of Jackson County, does not include Kansas City. So again, you could hear the sirens if you live in Kansas City proper, but the risk of a tornado is well to your east-northeast. This is something similar to what happened, I want to say back in March. I remember doing a whole bunch of graphics about why we heard the sirens here in close to downtown, midtown area, despite the fact that the threat of a tornado was 20 miles away. So again, for Jackson County, if you're hearing the sirens, if you live within the heart of Kansas City, you're fine. If you're within 435, you're fine from a tornadic threat from this one particular cell. So Lafayette County, you're included in that warning. Here's an update. Ray County's included, Clinton County, Caldwell County, other parts of Ray County. So several counties have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings and also tornado warnings as well. And here's a little bit more of a graphical presentation for you just to kind of give you an idea. We're looking for those areas in red, and those represent our tornado warnings, and there are some of them. 1, 2, 3, by the way. Severe thunderstorm watch in these blue counties for roughly I-35 westward. We're almost out of the woods, except for you folks up there towards Clinton County. Clay County too, let's give that a little bit more time, but the worst of the storms now shoving further off towards the east of Kansas City. But again, tornado warnings up towards Iowa, tornado warnings as well into the metro. So for those areas that you see highlighted, again, parts of Caldwell County, parts of Clinton County, east of Plattsburgh, there's 69, here's I-35. So it looks like the worst of it now is almost all east of I-35, almost, except for that lingering little area southeast of Plattsburgh. Lawson still under that tornado warning. Excelsior Springs still under that tornado warning. Richmond, all right, now an update. Lawson, Excelsior Springs, you've been dropped. All right, that tornado warning now has been canceled. The reason why we're hearing the sirens here in Kansas City is because of this little sliver right there. All right, so anytime the northern half of Jackson County is under a tornado warning, the sirens go off in Kansas City, Missouri. It doesn't discriminate whether it's the extreme northeast portion of Jackson County, but here we are. So again, just to put your mind at ease, if you live within the heart of Kansas City, if you live really anywhere in the 435 loop, no tornadoes, it appears, for you. However, for those of you in Oric, Richmond, Lexington, Hardin, want you to stay in your safe spot for a little while longer. We'll give you a radar update here in just a second. They've also issued other severe thunderstorm warnings downstream, including Norburn, Higginsville, Odessa, along the I-70 corridor, and now into the northern reaches of Johnson County over on the Missouri side. So new severe thunderstorm warnings for you. Seems like the main issue is going to be 60 to near 70 mile an hour winds from these thunderstorms and perhaps some small-ish hail that's moving on through. Now, from a radar standpoint, I do want to take you over towards Missouri City because I'm still watching that little area that I've been kind of poking around on towards Missouri City for a little while, and it's right along the leading edge, just towards the north and west of Oric. Yeah, just very close to Oric, as a matter of fact. This is where I'm seeing on our analysis radar that you don't see on camera, that I look at off camera, a little area of possible rotation that definitely warrants concern and definitely warrants you folks getting into a safe spot. So if you live in Oric or just towards the north of Oric, I want you folks to be in your safe spot right now because as I look at Some other radar information. Yeah, it looks like there might be something trying to form near and just towards the north and west of Oric. So if you live in Oric, get yourself into a safe spot and do so right away. Really anywhere along this leading edge, it's a concern just because we're seeing these little leading edge spinners try to form. So let's put a storm track on this. Let me stop radar for you first of all. So the leading edge of these storms right now are roughly near and just southwest of Kingston. If you live in Kearney, come out of your safe spot, you're okay. If you live in Liberty, if you were in your safe spot, you could come out, you'll be okay from that. If you live in Oric, I want you to be in your safe spot. If you live in the Oric area, just a little while longer. I just want to get that little curvature in our radar echoes away from Oric. But again, just for you folks in Richmond, I want you folks in your safe spot. That little curvature could be due into the Richmond area by about 9:39 and the Hardin area by about 9:51. It would be this little notch right there that we're sort of concerned about as it continues to move off towards the east-northeast. That's our southern tornado warning. Then there's another tornado warning a little further north of that, and that rotation, it's there west of Elmira, north and west of Lawson, might be transitioning more towards straight line winds, but just to be on the safe side, let's keep you folks from Elmira to Lawson, up towards Kingston, all in your safe spot as that possible circulation, nothing indicated on the ground, possible circulation, radar indicated, heads towards the Elmira area by about 9:26, Polo by about 9:34. It's 9:26 right now. So Elmira, I want you in your safe spot right now. Kingston due into you by about 9:38 if that area of rotation holds together. Let's get over to Jacob.
Yeah, Joe, so I was just looking back at the debris tracker here on Fox 4, and it looks like that back around 9:05, check this on your analysis radar, 9:05 near River Bend, which is just west of Missouri City along 210. That little blue dot to me is correlated with the velocity couplet. So with the rotation, there's this drop in our correlation coefficient, which typically means that there was some type of damage pulled up into the thunderstorm. So I'm wondering if maybe there was a brief touchdown right at 291 and 210 highway in Clay County, right at River Bend, right on the Missouri River. I don't know if there's any Clay County officials at the newsroom can maybe check there. River Bend, this would have been about 15 to 20 minutes ago. Right now, I'm not seeing any debris on radar, which is good news. But again, these are quick, short-lived spin-ups, so they don't last very long. I'm on the southern tornado warning right now, near Oric, now into Ray County. So the good news is that in this latest tornado update that we just got in from the National Weather Service, that Clay County and Jackson County have been removed from the tornado warnings. So no sirens now that I'm hearing. So Jackson and Clay County are done with the tornado warnings, and essentially the severe weather threat has ended for the most part inside the 435 loop. It continues north and east now of the metro with 60-mile-per-hour winds and one or two of these tornado warnings. So again, yeah, tornado warning in effect for Ray County, Clinton, and Caldwell counties now until 9:45 and 10 o'clock. So this is for Richmond. Go ahead and head to your tornado safe place, Henrietta there. If there's rotation, if there's another brief touchdown of this, right now it would be between Oric and Elkhorn there along 210 highway, probably just north of 210, coming into Richmond. So Richmond, let's just continue to respect the polygon here and seek shelter for the next 15 minutes or so. Here's the latest, and it's interesting when I look back, this is the rotation tracker over the last hour, it kind of fades off. Where I showed you that debris near River Bend, there was also kind of a maximized little rotation right there at 291 and 210. So I wonder if River Bend, Missouri had a quick little spin up right along 210 highway there in Clay County about 20 minutes ago. Still some rotation showing up between Holt and Lathrop, right up on I-35, just now kind of crossing over towards Barnesville and 69 highway right now in extreme northern Clay County, well actually now southern Clinton County, up here towards the Lathrop area. So wouldn't be shocked there. Let's turn on the velocity mode and look at any winds rotating up here. It's broad, but there is still some rotation right now over Barnesville, heading towards Elmira and Ray County. So if there's a quick tornado here, it would be over 69 Highway, although it looks like now that even that tornado warning may have just been dropped, which is good news. So here's the wide view. Severe thunderstorm warnings stretch from the Iowa state line through the Kansas City metro down to Garnett. The one lone tornado warning still in effect is for Ray County. So now only Ray County is in a tornado warning, and that tornado warning continues. I think that goes until 9:45. So Oric, Richmond, tornado warning continues. This storm might have done a quick, brief touchdown near River Bend, just west of Missouri City, along 210 Highway, and it may still try to do it again. The winds, though, I will say, not looking quite as impressive as they were earlier. And even now that, Joe, looks like that tornado warning has been dropped.
So I think all the tornado warnings have been dropped. Am I catching that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So I want to take you down to our south. Again, for those of you just joining us, it appears all the tornado warnings have now been dropped. Again, these little quick spin-ups along the leading edge typically don't last very long, and I appreciate the Weather Service dropping these warnings as quickly as they have data to support that. This way we're not scaring people needlessly with sirens and stuff like that. So all the if you're hearing a siren right now, we do believe all the tornado warnings have been dropped. So if you hear the sirens, they'll probably be spinning themselves down here very shortly. I do want to take you down to our south. I've heard from folks in Lynn County. Don't forget about us down here in Lynn County on the Kansas side. So here's the leading edge of these thunderstorms. The worst of the weather right now, south and east of I-35. So things are improving slowly in the Ottawa area, but that's a leading edge of some pretty strong thunderstorms. Again, the capability is there for maybe some 60, 65 mile an hour winds. These will be heading towards the Paola area by about 9:40, Lewisburg by about 9:51, Belton, heads up Belton, 9:57, Raymore 10:01, Greenwood 10:08. These seem to be, at least right now, and again, emphasis on the phrase right now, our typical thunderstorms with maybe some gusty winds. But I have noticed in Anderson County a couple of these little notches along the leading edge. So let's not totally let our guard down about maybe some future tornado warnings coming east of that leading edge of storms, pushing out of Franklin and through Anderson County, and soon to be moving into Miami County and northern portions of Lynn County on the Kansas side. And then consider this an early heads up for Cass and Bates County as well. Those storms will be probably getting to you in the not too distant future. The strongest storms, as Jacob mentioned, now pushing east of Kansas City. We still have some pretty heavy rains, so please be careful along 435. Overland Park, Grandview, severe thunderstorm warnings continue in this general area towards Lee's Summit. Maybe some 60 mile an hour wind gusts possible with these storms. The leading edge of the heaviest thunderstorms, the ones that have been at times producing these little inflow notches, which indicate potentially a quick little spin up of tornadoes, now moving through Ray County and into Lafayette County. So I'm going to kind of broaden the view and put a storm track on this for you, just so that areas east of this line have an idea when they could expect the potential of 50 to 60, maybe close to 70 mile an hour wind gusts. That would be towards Oak Grove by about 9:33, Odessa by about 9:47, Higginsville by 9:58, Alma on the Missouri side at around 10:09, Carrollton, by the way, at around 10:02. So this line is still pretty beefy, quite a bit of lightning associated with it, some locally torrential rains, and some areas that have a tendency to have that low-lying flooding situation may get a little bit of flooding from this. And that would include even into parts of Johnson County on the Kansas side as well, just because of these storms that are moving pretty much due east. You know, they're moving along at a good clip, but there's, you know, that, and then there's more activity behind it moving up I-35. So that's a lot of rain coming down, pretty short amount of time. So we could see some flooding from some of this activity in Jackson County, Johnson County over on the Kansas side rather, and down into the northwestern portion of Miami County, further off towards the east of Kansas City. Broad view, again, we've got several big clusters of storms. Miami County, you're next with this push out of wind from these thunderstorms. Lynn County, it's coming towards you on the Kansas side. Push out of wind from the storms moving through Anderson County right now. And then the push out of wind continues over towards Ray County and then up into Caldwell County too. And again, we've got a history of 60 to near 70 mile an hour wind gusts coming out of these storms. So just kind of be aware of that. Kearney did report a wind gust to 67 miles an hour. And we got a wind gust earlier. This was up towards I-35 and Sunflower. Seems extreme to me. And maybe I'm just going to let that one lie. I think that it might be an erroneous wind report. If it's true, we'll tell you about it tomorrow. It happened earlier this evening. Lake Wacomas area, we're getting reports now of a tree down, some cable service lines knocked out. Power outages are no doubt increasing quite a bit. As a matter of fact, Evergy right now, assuming my map kept up with things, reporting about 5,500 customers without power from the Evergy website. So that's a thing for the Evergy area. And the BPU area, I'm trying to do some quick math. That's probably around, I think last I saw, 3,500 outages or 3,500 customers without power into the Wyandotte County area and the BPU service area as well. Storms are feisty, still producing some gusty winds. Jacob.
Yeah, Joe, so I just wanted to kind of show the list of those wind reports that you were kind of talking about. So Jackson County, we got 69 mile per hour gusts. So as Joe was mentioning, a lot of 60 to 70 mile per hour reports. Kearney gusted to 67 miles per hour up in Clay County. The downtown Kansas City airport gusted to 61 miles per hour. That happened twice earlier this evening. And we did get a 1-inch quarter-size hail report from the south side of Kansas City as well. So certainly a severe line of winds that moved through. Power outages have jumped over 3,000 in Wyandotte. I think almost now to 2,000 power outages in Jackson County. So still a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, this stretches essentially from the Iowa state line now through the east and south side of the metro all the way down into Garnett, Kansas. So it looks like there are still, it even might have been revised now. So these severe thunderstorm warnings in the yellow are now outlined in gold only, which is good news that the National Weather Service has removed the possible tornado wording from those. So that's an improvement. Still strong winds likely here. Davies, Caldwell, Ray, Carroll, Lafayette counties, and then also still on the Kansas side, Miami, Lynn, and Anderson County. Still some strong winds possible down there as well. So this line continues to move east. And look at how up in Caldwell County, this is still kind of rotating in, almost now turning into a mesoscale convective vortex, an MCV. And this is moving up towards Chillicothe. We'll just have to watch, and I don't think it's a really high threat, but it's possible. Typically when we get kind of this S shape, we can still try to see a spin up form. So we'll have to watch that pocket of winds that wrap around in Caldwell County as this moves towards Chillicothe, maybe for one more additional spin up. These storms continue to move off towards the east-northeast at, say, about 50 miles per hour. So I'll put an updated storm track on this as they move out towards the east. Again, the Kansas City metro proper is mostly done. This is the line of winds. Lexington 9:45, Odessa 9:50, Higginsville 10 o'clock, Carrollton 10:05, Chillicothe 10:10, and then into central Missouri. So that's kind of the strongest line of winds. On the Kansas side, still though, this is a sharp line of winds there moving in towards Paola and Miami County, Garnett even, and there's a little bit of a interesting little kind of tail there south of Garnett. I'm not seeing it really associated with any winds, which is good news, but just kind of some funky looking clouds probably ahead of this leading edge of winds. And like we saw downtown and through most of the metro, as this goes from a bright green to a bright red or dark red pretty quickly here in Miami County, that's a sign of pretty strong winds that are moving through. So Osawatomie up towards Hillsdale, Paola, Lewisburg, wouldn't be shocked at some more 60 mile per hour wind reports as this tracks towards the state line. But again, it's still raining. There's certainly still some lightning, but most of the metro, Platte, Leavenworth, Wyandotte are now in the clear. Lawrence, Douglas County is in the clear, and it now looks like even Clay County is in the clear from severe weather. The only severe warning that continues is the south side of the metro, Overland Park, Raytown, south into southern Jackson and Johnson counties. But again, Wyandotte, Leavenworth, Platte, Clay, essentially done now with the severe weather risk. And still that bow echo kind of out along the river, Joe, could be producing 60-mile-per-hour winds for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Up there towards Wellington, around the Knoxville area. I want to take you down towards Miami County, and southern Johnson County too, for that matter, with this strong thunderstorm coming into the southwest corner of Johnson County on the Kansas side, western portions of Miami County, far eastern portions of Franklin County. So you folks in Paola about to get a big blow of wind. If you haven't already gotten it, it could be in the neighborhood of 50 to 70 mile an hour winds being pushed out of these thunderstorms, and that's heading towards Lewisburg in the not too distant future, heading towards you by about 9:53. Belton, you may get some strong winds as well, close to, if not just before 10 o'clock, and Lee Summit close to, at least from that particular cell. You've got some other cells around the Lee Summit area right now. But from this particular cell in western Miami County and southwestern Johnson County on the Kansas side, Lee Summit, that would be due towards you by about 10:10 or so. I want to go a little further south into Lynn County just to kind of give you folks a heads up that there is activity to your west into Anderson County. Nothing overly concerning at this point with this activity in Anderson County. It looks like it's actually pushed out a little bit of a gust front, so that would tend to reduce the risk of any tornadic little spin-ups along the leading edge. Once that gust front gets pushed out, that's that thin green line right there, southeast of Garnett. So this will be moving into Lynn County here, not too far down the road, and we'll give you a time track on this as well as it continues to move off towards the east-northeast. So particularly areas from Mound City northward, you'll be impacted by those storms coming out of Anderson County. So these would be heading towards Colony by about 9:45, Goodrich by about 9:49, Lacine by about 10:02, Lynn Valley by 10:05, Laceyville by about 10:19, with some of these storms that are being pushed out of Anderson County that are pretty much right now right on top of the Garnett area. For the Metro 435 loop, most of the worst is done, although it is just coming down to beat the band right now, right along 435 from Overland Park to Lee Summit and then curling up along 470. So that general area, that 435, 470 corridor, they are getting it good right now in terms of torrential rains. And there's still a little action going on even behind this out there towards Perry and around the Lawrence area, but those storms are not severe. The severe weather risk is shifting now towards the east and southeast of Kansas City. So basically, give or take, if you live anywhere in this general area, then I'm sure kind of highlighting for you right now in this general area, that's going to be our severe weather risk for the next couple of hours. We'll see whether or not these storms weaken as they push off further into the Missouri side, but this general area here will now become a focus of these storms that are plodding off towards the east at pretty rapid fashion of 45, close to about 55 or so miles an hour. Jacob.
Okay, Joe, yeah, so we're still kind of watching this line of thunderstorms, and there's two regions that I'm watching for the strongest winds, one of which is here kind of from Ray up towards Caldwell County, and there's kind of this little S shape, again, as I've been talking about, Kingston to Polo, and that's where some of the strongest winds could occur as this moves into Bramer. That's going to be some strong 60, 65 mile per hour winds. Richmond, you're getting the heavy rain and lightning right now. And this is about to reach Hardin, Norban, and tracked there in towards Carroll County shortly. So I would not be shocked if this severe warning gets extended downstream to include Livingston and the rest of Carroll County here as well. Again, now kind of due east of the metro, the winds are not terrible, I would say. It's certainly storming. Oak Grove, Lake Lotawana down towards Belton, but this line is actually not really correlated with the movement of the front. Notice it's kind of more east to west oriented instead of north to south. And this north to south orientation allows for the strongest winds in the mid-level of the atmosphere to be brought to the ground. So that's why the severe thunderstorm warning and strongest winds are in Richmond, Lexington right now. And that's that kind of vertical line that moved through the Kansas City metro proper within the last hour. But the winds are not quite as strong on the south side of the 435 loop in the south end of the metro. until this gets more vertical again down into Miami County, and that's where we have strong winds right now crossing 169 highway from Spring Hill through Hillsdale down towards Paola and Osawatomie, and then it kind of backs off a little bit, more of a northeasterly orientation through the Garnett area. So the strongest winds here in Miami County and then also up towards the north. I'll turn on the rotation tracker, but again, it's not picking up on much, which is good news. Down in Paola, there was some, notice how this is over the last hour. Notice how the max rotation tracker really maxed out on in Clay County, northern Jackson County, Platte County, and southern Clinton County in the last hour. And that's where we had those 3 separate tornado warnings with kind of the 3 storms moving away along the leading edge of that bow. So that's where we had the strongest rotation earlier. Now, though, not really seeing that much, which is good news. I'm going to check on the lightning counter, too, because that usually is a good indication. Oh, what are you laughing at, Joe? Yeah,
I'm laughing because I'm looking at our Overland Park camera.
Yeah.
And there was just a big old bolt just a second ago. So a lot of lightning, obviously still associated with this. Notice how the speeds have come way down along 435, going both east and west. That is some massive torrential rains and tons of lightning coming from these cells. Again, the wind threat seems to be diminishing now for most of Johnson County, Kansas, in terms of severe types of storms. Now we're just transitioning to just a dumping of rain, locally heavy rains. There's probably some significant little areas here where you could hydroplane very, very carefully. So if you know anybody out there, just make sure. I'd say send them a text, but I want them to keep their eyes on the road right now as they're moving through the south part of Kansas City down into Johnson County and points east from there. Have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's just been issued. This is going to go for several counties: southeastern Davies County, southern Grundy, northeastern Ray, Carroll, Caldwell, and Livingston County into north central Missouri. This is going to go up until about 10:30 or so. So still some severe thunderstorms that are out there. And again, the main concern would be strong, gusty winds. That seems to be the big thing. Haven't really seen much in the way of any damaging hail coming from these storms. So we've got ourselves a list of severe thunderstorm warnings. A lot of them expire right at 10 o'clock. So that's welcome news. But again, just be aware that if you're going to or waiting on these thunderstorms that are coming into your area, right along the leading edge, there's still that potential of some 60 to close to 70-mile-an-hour winds. So again, these storms are still meaning business as they get further east of Kansas City. But just about everybody getting severe thunderstorm warnings from north central Missouri through Trenton. There's a new one coming out now, southeastern Franklin, eastern portions of Anderson County, all the way down the line towards Odessa, back towards southern Jackson County, just a severe thunderstorm warning. Southern Johnson County, I say just a severe thunderstorm warning. Lots of heavy rain. Miami County, Lynn County, eastern portions of Anderson County, southeastern portions of Franklin County as well. So lots of strong thunderstorms are still out there. And again, a concern I've got, at least for a little while here, right along and south of 470, down 470, 435 into Johnson County, that potential of some localized flooding from these storms. It looks like the heaviest of the rains, unlike what happened last week, seemed to have, Casey Mo had a pretty good dump of rain, but it moved along pretty quickly. This area down here is a little bit more persistent. It's there's a little disturbance, a little what we call area of vorticity right up here that strings back westward into another one right there. So everything is kind of slowed down, and that's why we're seeing this repeated area of torrential rains. Southern Johnson County, down towards the Lee Summit area, south of I-70, I should say. Blue Springs, Odessa, it's coming to you. The heavy rain is at least. Down towards Spring Hill, down towards Paola, that's the leading edge. The rain will be heavy, but it won't be quite as persistent as what's going on right now up here into Jackson County. Wouldn't be shocked if we see some sort of flash flood warning perhaps for this activity. I'll quickly see if we could get an update on some of the rain. Even the rain gauge hasn't quite caught up yet with this activity that's been moving on through. So let's get back to radar. So again, basically thunder, lightning, strong gusty winds, locally heavy rains. What I think I'd like to do is send it over to the news desk if you guys are ready, because in a weird way, a lot of this, there's actually been a connection to what's been going on out at Arrowhead Stadium this evening. I don't know, did you guys hear about that out at Arrowhead? They had to evacuate.
Had not heard that.
Yeah, so when the sirens were going off, they evacuated the draft room, got themselves into a safe spot. They're now back into the draft room. But just to show you, I can imagine that phone call to the commissioner. Can you hold on? We got sirens going off right now outside. Again, all the tornado warnings have been dropped, so that's good news. So I'll either send it over to Bria and John, or do we want to take a commercial break? Rob, what do you want to do? Bria and John, coming your way.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Fox 4 is working for you to keep you weather aware even if you're not in front of the TV. You can receive severe weather alerts on your phone, interactive radar. To download the Fox 4 app, just scan the QR code on your screen right now, or you can search Fox 4 in your app store.
Now,